Tom Bower, the legendary royal author, is sharpening his quill for a new edition of his book set to reveal huge secrets inside Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage.
There's nothing original here.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Which is really such a fake. When she was younger.
Hi, Nanny. I'm English award.
100% a bully brat.
I think when I was 30, if I thought about 50, I thought that is an awful long way away. And I don't really need to think about it. And then I blinked and I'm 50. That's crazy.
I thought, what is she not contextually aware? She's trying to hide something. This is really sloppy.
She's absolutely ruthless.
This is Meghan's first trip to the snow. Your dad took her up to Big Bear.
I think the palace and the machinery of the monarchy needs to take Harry and Meghan more seriously and make sure that Harry and Meghan's antics don't impact the future.
Meghan is living a life that she's winning and she's doing all these great things, but the reality is not that. The reality is she's a joke.
There are so many telltale signs that something is clearly wrong with Meghan. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but I mean, how can you get your age so wrong? Did you know that in 1997, when she met Yasmin Bleeth, when she claims that she was working for Humphrey Yogurt, age 13, she also, or somebody with the name Meghan Markle, filled out a questionnaire for Sears, the company, claiming that she was 21 years of age.
Tom Bower just dropped a shocking claim that has Meghan Markle's legal team scrambling behind the scenes.
I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want to.
The royal biographer, famous for digging deep and exposing powerful figures, is now questioning whether the Duchess of Sussex has been misleading people about her real age for more than 20 years.
Today felt like the perfect day to address a theory that many people out there have been speculating on, that Meghan Markle has lied about her age. Is she actually older?
And according to Bower, the evidence he gathered is massive. We're talking old magazine archives, university records, and even statements from people connected to her past. Piece by piece, he claims it paints a strange picture, one that suggests a long trail of confusing details and contradictions that make even Hollywood drama look mild. But here's where things get even more intense. This isn't just another rumor floating around online. Bower says there are actual records involved, official paperwork that people are now examining very closely, and reports claim Meghan is extremely upset about the situation as the conversation spreads across media and royal circles. Before getting into the age debate itself, it's important to know exactly who Tom Bower is. This is not some random gossip writer chasing internet traffic. Tom Bower has built a reputation in Britain as a relentless investigative biographer who takes years researching the people he writes about. He has published major books about Robert Maxwell, Mohammed Al-Fayed, Simon Cowell, and even Prince Charles.
Is Megsy really lying about her age? Now, when you Google her, it says that she was born on the 4th of August 1981. And with today being her birthday, as of me recording this video, it's saying that she's 44 years old.
His work is known for heavy research and long interviews with dozens, sometimes hundreds of sources. Every detail is checked again and again. Then in 2022, he released Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors. The book caused a huge storm, describing Meghan as extremely strategic and determined to rise in elite social circles. But one chapter grabbed far more attention than the rest. The section about Meghan's early years, her time trying to break into Hollywood, and the timeline of her life. Because according to Tom Bower's research, the numbers surrounding her background raise serious questions. Meghan has always stated she was born on August 4, 1981, which would make her 44 years old today. But Bower claims he came across information suggesting something very different. According to records he examined, her age could possibly place her somewhere closer to the late 40s or even early 50s. If that were true, it would not be a tiny mistake. It would mean a major difference in the official story.
She had a very clear idea of where she wanted her path to take her.
And when Bower started discussing these findings publicly, reports say Meghan's team moved quickly to push back and control the narrative. One of the most talked about pieces of evidence comes from March 9. In an issue of 17 magazine, page 90, there is a feature that reportedly lists Meghan Markle as being 21 years old at the time. Now here's why that raised eyebrows. If Meghan was truly born in 1981, she would have only been around 15 or 16 in March of 1997. That creates a gap of about 6 years, which critics say is difficult to ignore. Tom Bower didn't just rely on a random clipping either. He reportedly went through physical publication archives, confirmed the magazine's release date, and verified the article's authenticity before bringing it up publicly.
Metadata of the picture says that it was taken on May 8th, 2019. And he was born on May 6th, 2019. Can somebody please explain that to us?
So the question being debated is simple but explosive. Did a magazine make a large mistake about someone's age, or is there confusion somewhere in the timeline that has never been fully explained? And the story doesn't stop there. Bower also pointed out that Meghan's IMDb page at one time listed her birth year as 1977 instead of 1980. That detail sparked even more speculation online. In the entertainment industry, age can influence the roles actors are considered for. Some commentators believe this could explain why different numbers appeared in different places, though none of these claims have been officially confirmed. But Tom Bower says he noticed the inconsistencies right away, and he claims he saved screenshots to back up what he found. Northwestern University, Meghan's alma mater, shows that she graduated in 2003 with a degree in theatre and international studies. Based on the public timeline, that would place her at about 22 years old at graduation. On paper, everything looks neat and lined up. But Bower argues there is a catch. He says he started digging into alumni directories, old campus photos, and people who were around Meghan during those years.
Meghan is a consummate survival actress. You raised this extraordinary beginning of the year when she carved 2025 in the sand. And it's a very, very interesting image that it came out on New Year's Day this year, because the previous weeks had been absolutely turgid and torrid for her. She had been dubbed Duchess Difficult again. There had been allegations of bullying.
Tyrant in high heels.
And according to his research, many of the classmates linked to that same period are now said to be in their early to mid-50s, not early 40s. That is the detail that made him look even closer. There is also a well-known photo from Northwestern's Salsa Club, with Meghan standing in the back row and smiling beside a group of other students. Bower says he reached out to several people connected to that photo, and according to his account, they gave birth years in the early 1970s. So that sparked a wild question. Was Meghan simply socializing with an older crowd on campus, which is totally possible, or does Bower believe this points to a bigger issue with the timeline she has publicly presented? That is where the whole thing starts sounding messy. Bower also says one former classmate, speaking anonymously, claimed, "We all knew Meghan was older than she said." The source allegedly described it as something people did not make a big deal about back then.
Not a surprise here because, yeah, she lies a lot about her stuff. We've caught her in so many lies. Her own sister has come forward, her family, everybody is exposing the lies that she's been telling.
But now, critics are treating that claim like a giant red flag and asking what else in the story might not fully match up. And then the situation gets even more strange. Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, has spoken publicly many times over the years about her childhood, her personality, and family drama surrounding her marriage to Prince Harry. But Bower says that when the topic turned directly to Meghan's birth year, the answer was not clear at all. According to Bower's version, he asked Thomas Markle directly what year Meghan was born. He says Thomas paused, then gave a vague response instead of naming a date. Bower claims the answer was, "You should check the records yourself." And that line only added more heat to an already explosive controversy.
August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my arm.
That moment raised a lot of eyebrows. Some critics immediately asked the obvious question: why would a father need to pause when asked about the year his daughter was born? For people following the story, that hesitation only added more mystery to the timeline Tom Bower has been questioning. Bower also spoke with Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister, Samantha was born in 1964, and Meghan has often suggested there is about a 17-year age gap between them. But according to Bauer's account, Samantha said the difference may not be quite that large. She reportedly told him, "We were closer in age growing up than people realize."
That's the thing about Meghan. She's a very, very deceitful person.
If Meghan were born in 1981, that would indeed place a 17-year gap between the sisters. Samantha would have already been a teenager when Meghan was born. But critics argue that if the birth year were earlier, somewhere in the mid-1970s, that gap would shrink to roughly 9 to 11 years instead. And that detail suddenly changes how their childhood timeline would look. A smaller gap would mean the sisters were closer in age while growing up, which Samantha says matches her own memories of having a younger sister close enough in age to spend time playing together. Then the conversation shifts to Meghan's early acting career, and this is where Bauer says the timeline raises even more questions.
What the hell is going on with this woman? Is she adopted or is she just a natural? I mean, is she such a liar she can't even understand that we can all see her?
If the 1981 birth year is accurate, Meghan would have been about 25 when she appeared holding briefcases on Deal or No Deal in 2006. For many viewers, that seems like a normal age for someone trying to build a career in entertainment. But Bauer claims that when he looked deeper into her early career path, he saw a long period of small auditions and minor roles during the early 2000s.
You're wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quickly. Never mind the hysterectomy stories that her family have told. But that would make it more difficult because that would make Meghan Markle near 50.
According to reports about that time, Meghan took many small parts, brief appearances, background roles, and commercial work while trying to break into the industry. That kind of struggle is actually very common for actors, but Bauer points out that casting decisions in Hollywood often revolve heavily around age categories. Once performers reach their early 30s, the types of roles offered can shift dramatically, sometimes toward older characters like mothers or authority figures.
I believe she had a clear motive for writing family off because it would seemingly justify and perhaps delay the revelation of all of the lies that she had told the royal family.
Critics who follow Tom Bauer's research say Meghan's career path looks like someone fighting hard to stay visible in a brutally competitive industry. For years, she bounced between auditions, small appearances, and minor roles while trying to land something bigger. Her major break did not arrive until Suits in 2011. If the 1981 birth year is correct, she would have been around 30 when she got the role of Rachel Zane. That is still reasonable for television casting. But Bauer argues that if the timeline were earlier, she could have been several years older, which would have made landing a young professional character much more unusual.
Stupidly put out so many dumb lies, the car chase, etc., that now nobody believes anything they say. And that's scary and dangerous because it sometimes puts us off in directions that we need to be better about. But man, the more and more I look at and research this stuff, I'm not obsessed with these two. I'm looking at them with a very clear eye.
Bauer believes the only way that would work is if the public timeline about her age was not completely accurate. Then another detail entered the spotlight. Something connected to the birth of Prince Archie in May 2019. When Archie was born, his birth certificate was filed with the standard information you would expect. It listed the mother's full legal name as Rachel Meghan Markle. That is the official name connected to Meghan's birth records and identification documents.
What is going on here? Why the secrecy around this woman's birth certificate? Why the secrecy? Why the mistakes in age that are so blatant for others? And you know what? This is like her education in university, that she claims that she double major in international relations and theater when Northwestern has never given a major in international relations.
But weeks later, the certificate was reportedly updated. Meghan's first and middle names were removed, and the document instead listed her simply as Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Tom Bauer says he looked deeply into that change, and according to accounts he gathered, such alterations are extremely uncommon on royal birth documents. Some palace insiders reportedly told him they could not remember another case quite like it. So why would the change happen? Bauer's theory is controversial. He suggests it may have been done to reduce the number of official records tied directly to the name Meghan Markle.
Can't ignore them if they keep popping up doing stuff like this. That's the thing. We're kind of in a mutually abusive, toxic relationship, aren't we? The media and Harry and Meghan, because they keep doing stuff wanting attention. Then they get quite adverse reaction most of the time. Then they react really badly to the reaction. And so it goes on.
Well, what it really boils down to is the threat they offer. If the threat was punctured, which I hope my book will do.
His argument is that legal names on documents can easily be traced across many databases, things like school records, passports, and other official paperwork. If investigators ever started comparing those records closely, Bauer believes they might find inconsistencies in different documents. Critics who support his theory say removing the name could make tracking those records more difficult.
So I have to ask, is this woman crazy? Is she that much of a liar, or is there something deeper? Because just to give you another example, she claims that she was 13 years of age when she started to work for Humphrey Yogurt, in spite of the fact that Humphrey Yogurt has said that they have never employed anybody at age 13. Number two, she claims that when she started working at Humphrey Yogurt, she ran into Yasmin Bleeth, and that she congratulated Yasmin Bleeth for her deodorant commercial. Yasmin Bleeth didn't do that deodorant commercial until 1997.
Supporters of Meghan strongly reject those claims, saying there could be many normal administrative reasons for the change. But according to people Bauer spoke with, when his book was released and these accusations began circulating, Meghan was reportedly extremely angry about the entire situation. According to reports surrounding the book, Meghan's legal team reacted quickly after Tom Bauer's claims began spreading. Lawyers reportedly contacted the publisher with serious warnings. They demanded corrections and pushed back strongly against the age allegations, calling the claims baseless and damaging to her reputation. But the situation did not disappear easily. Bauer insisted that his investigation relied on what he described as documented sources, things like magazine archives, university material, and interviews with people connected to Meghan's past. Because of that, the debate did not fade away after the legal pressure.
Are you telling me that that commercial, which was so pivotal for Meghan Markle, she didn't even bother to watch so she can recount the story and say when I was 12 rather than when I was 11? Because the commercial is out in the public domain, and I will leave the link for you guys to go watch it. It was done when she was 12 years of age. So there is something that is not connecting.
After the book's release, Meghan herself did not publicly address the specific accusations. There were no detailed statements responding point by point, no press conference focused on the timeline questions, and no public release of additional documents to settle the discussion. And that silence quickly became part of the story. Supporters argue she has no obligation to respond to every rumor or controversial claim circulating in the media. Critics, however, say the lack of a direct response only added more curiosity around the topic.
Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say royal author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both Tom.
Bauer himself suggested that if the timeline was simple and completely clear, releasing records could easily shut the whole discussion down. But Meghan has chosen not to engage publicly with the claim, and that decision has kept the speculation alive across media and online discussions. Then the debate moved into even more serious territory, the legal angle. Some commentators began asking a bigger question. What would happen if incorrect personal information ever appeared on official documents like legal contracts or marriage paperwork? Legal experts quoted in discussions around Bauer's book explained that false information on official documents can create legal complications in certain situations.
Owes it to the public of each and every country of which the king is monarch to clear up any doubts about anybody in the line of succession. Meghan's conduct is what has triggered all of this. Oh, Archie doing a deep dive between the knees, Archie competing with Tom Daly before he was even given birth to. Archie's unique qualities, and we need to remember that Archie was truly unique because his first word was crocodile. And Archie, of course, was the product of a union that maritally started when they were roasting chicken. And I leave it at that. But what I will go back to say, in terms without giving too much levity to their Harry and Meghan's really crazed behavior.
However, those experts also stress that speculation about such outcomes is purely hypothetical unless clear proof exists. Even so, the controversy shows how a single disputed detail can explode into a much larger debate about records, timelines, and public narratives surrounding high-profile figures. Tom Bower also raised another controversial point during discussions about his investigation. He suggested that if any public figure provided incorrect basic biographical information to major business partners, it could potentially create problems inside certain contracts. Companies like Netflix, Spotify, and other media partners often include detailed personal background information in agreements. Bower argued that if any key facts in those records were inaccurate, it might open the door to disputes or legal challenges. However, legal analysts also stress that contracts are complex, and situations like that would depend on very specific circumstances. Still, Bower believes the stakes around personal details can be extremely high, not just for reputation, but also financially. Then the conversation around his investigation takes an even more dramatic turn. For years, online rumors have circulated claiming Meghan may have had a child earlier in life, before she became widely known. According to these rumors, the child would now be an adult. It is important to note that Tom Bower did not confirm this claim in his book. He did not present evidence proving it happened. What he did say instead was that there are periods in Meghan's early timeline that some critics believe are not fully explained. Bower suggested that if her birth year were earlier than the widely reported 1981 date, certain gaps people talk about would appear more plausible within the timeline. But even he stopped short of confirming anything concrete. There is no verified proof presented for those claims. Only speculation, rumors, and people who say they know something but have never publicly documented it. Still, the discussion has continued to spread online because Bower's investigation reopened old questions about Meghan's background and personal history. By the end of his book, Tom Bower does not directly declare a different birth year for Meghan. Instead, he lays out the material he collected and leaves the final judgment to the readers themselves. By the end of his investigation, Tom Bower makes his position very clear. He argues that Meghan Markle has not been fully transparent about important parts of her public biography, and according to Bower, the concerns he raises go far beyond just the debate about her age. He claims the questions stretch into multiple areas: her background, her family relationships, her early career timeline, and even the story that eventually led to her marriage with Prince Harry.
Professionally, they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem is that she turned up at Kevin Costner's.
In Bower's view, Meghan carefully built a powerful public image over the years. A polished persona presented to the world through interviews, media appearances, and royal coverage. But critics who support Bower's claims argue that some parts of that image may not perfectly match the details of her earlier life. Supporters of Meghan strongly reject those accusations and say many of the claims in Bower's book are exaggerated or unfair. Still, the controversy has sparked intense debate across media, online forums, and royal watchers everywhere. So the big question people keep asking remains the same. Is Meghan truly the age listed in public records, or are there details about her past that have never been fully explained? Until more official information is ever released, those questions will likely continue circulating among critics and supporters alike. But one thing is certain, investigations like this keep the spotlight firmly on royal stories and the mysteries that surround them. If you want more deep dives and royal investigations like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps keep these stories coming.